Good afternoon, all. I'm Dr. Amrita Tiwari. I Assistant Professor of SIRT College, Bhopal, in Siege Group of Institutions. Today, I want to explain you about the royalty account for the first year student of BBA. Firstly, we discussed the royalty account. The owner of the assets may allow the party of use these assets against some considerations. Assets may be copyright, patent, minus, and etc. Considerations against the use of assets is called a royalty. The party person who gives the right is called the lessor, landlord, owner, author account. The party who used the assets is called lessee. The term landlord will be used in hereafter for the owner for the assets. And the minimum rent and dead rent, the minimum agreed amount that must be paid periodically to the landlord. Short working, the excess of minimum rent over the actual royalty. Excess working, the excess of royalty over the minimum rent. Minimum rent is equal to the actual royalty plus short-term working. Excess working, actual royalty minus minimum rent. And the ground rent and the periodic payment of the landlord is additional to the royalty minimum rent. Recoupment. Recoupment of the short working is if the agreement allows lessee can be recovered short working in the certain period, as that 2 to 3 years, etc. Recoupment short working will be shown as current assets in lessee books. It is not lose until it become a recoverable. If the lost, that it will be close to general profit and loss account. General entries in the books of the lessee is showing arises short working, debtors, and royalty expense debtors to landlord account is credited. Fully participate the landlord account, the landlord account is debited, the short working is credited, general profit and loss account is debited, and the short working is credited. In book of landlord, when there arises is lessee account, for the minimum rent account, the royalty receivable is credited. For the royalty account and to royalty suspense credit for the short working. When recovered, royalty suspense debited and to lessee account is credited. When time lapse royalty suspense is debited to general profit account is credited. Recoupment, fixed right. The lessee have a right to recover the short working amount in fixed period from the date of lease. The fluctuating right, when the lessee have to right to recover short working amount to fixed period from the date of short working. Purpose of minimum rent. The landlord at least the minimum amount periodically to recompile lessee to take the full interest in the use of assets, optimal utilization of assets. In the case of strike or lockdown, the minimum rent can only be reduced the probability only if the allowed by the agreement. As per the income tax rules, it is a duty to lessee to deduct the income tax at the time of payment and deposit in the concerned department. This according to treatment of the minimum rent is a minimum rent to landlord, royalty expense account short working to minimum rent, the trading and profit account to the royalty account, and the lessee account of the minimum rent, and the minimum rent to royalty account and receivable to royalty suspensible and royalty receivable to profit and loss account. Account treatment when the minimum rent account is not opened, royalty expense amount to short working to landlord and landlord to cash account, and the trading and profit account to royalty expense, lessee to royalty receivable to royalty suspense, cash bank to lessee, and royalty receivable to profit and loss account. Creation of provision. The prevent policy of the provisions is the recoupable and the short working should be created in the books of lessee, and general entries is profit and loss account is repeated and to provision of short working is credited, and recoverable short working are adjusted against the provisions, and the provisions must be shown at the liability side, and the balance sheet is created in the year of the short working occurs. When there is no minimum rent cost, the question is the short working, it's the recoupment, and that does not arises. And the recoupment short working should be carried forward, the shown as the current assets in lazy books. Royalty suspense should be carried forward until recover time lapse and shows as a current liability in the books of laser. If a part of whole short working lapse in the year, LL, is a get only minimum royalty, and please read the comparable to solve when many books of this classroom. Sublease is a sublease format. The agreement contains a provision of sublease. The original lease can do so. In the sublease, original lease act like a lease for the original landlord and landlords of sublease. Original landlord to do same entries, some lease do some treatment as we did. In case of original lease and books is the simple contract. Original lease act as a landlord and lazy at the same time. There is the open many accounts in the books of accounts. For example, royalty suspense account, royalty payable accounts, shoring, and the royalty suspense and landlord account as sublease account. Thank you for listening me. Thank you so much.